Listen to this episode if you want a full case study from somebody that has built some of your favorite brands as to why Unwell Beverages by Alex Cooper failed in just a year. This is a major case study as to why visibility doesn't actually equal sales, growth, and longevity. We're going to dive into the ins and outs of this, and this is one of the most interesting brand case studies happening right now, and that has honestly happened for a long time. Alex Cooper has one of the most robust communities out there. She has up to 70 million people that touch her community on an average basis. 70 million. That is massive reach. She has media companies. She has unlimited budget. She has so much that she is able to pull from, and her beverage company was still not successful. Why? We're going to dive into that today. The funniest thing is when she launched this like a year and a half ago, I actually filmed a podcast episode. Honestly, it was a little spicy. It was an episode of me going off about why this was such a bad idea. I never actually posted it, I don't think, because I actually thought it was a little too spicy, but I had this premonition that this was a terrible idea because I know Alex Cooper's brand and I know where she was going and I know the industry of beverage, and I knew that this just wasn't going to work and it was misaligned from day one. You could see this in her launch because her community was like, Alex, what the heck are you doing? We don't want this. From day one of her launch. And I want to talk about the red flags here and how you can actually utilize this if you don't have one of the biggest communities in the world right now. If you are not coming from an Alex Cooper level of a celebrity brand, we're going to talk about what we can actually do instead. This comes down to product market fit, brand positioning, understanding your category, differentiation, repeat purchases, distribution strategy, and having a product people actually want to buy from you. And this is something you can utilize in your brand at any point, and it's going to actually help you grow a business that is going to last as well. If you're new here, I just want to take 10 quick seconds to say hello and to introduce myself. My name is Madison Page, and I am the business brain behind many of your favorite consumer brands. I come into consumer brands and I help them become the emerging category leaders that you know and love today. And I'm going to bring you kind of the behind the scenes of what we really see here. First, I want to just give you a good update just in case you haven't heard what was actually going on. In early 2025, Unwell Hydration was launched through Alex Cooper in a partnership with Nestlé. So they did have some backing with Nestlé, and Nestlé's budget is massive as well. It wasn't like this tiny D2C experiment. It actually first launched exclusively into Target and later expanded its beverage offering beyond hydration into focus, protein, energy, and drink sticks. They expanded their product suite very quickly when they saw the hangover recovery beverage, which is how it was positioned at first, was not really landing. They tried to do all of this and kind of branch it out into wellness a little quicker. The original concept was essentially like a functional hydration drink for women that were hungover. It was marketed as a hangover cure. You could absolutely understand why people would think that that would work for Alex Cooper from who she used to be. She talked a lot about pop culture, a lot about drinking. She was kind of like the celebrity sorority drunk gal for a long time. She talked a lot about sex and culture and being a woman in your young 20s and growing up and things like that. But now she's becoming a mom. Now she is grown and her brand is maturing. And she was in this transitional moment of interviewing the vice president of the United States that was trying to be president of the United States, interviewing Michelle Obama, interviewing some of the most prestigious names in the world. And yet she was launching a hangover cure. It just didn't align from day one. We're going to get into that. But you could see Alex Cooper as somebody that had basically every advantage here. She had a massive founder, a massive audience, an extremely loyal community, a recognizable brand name, major strategic partners, national retail distribution from day one, but yet it didn't work. We are barely 18 months into Unwell Hydration, and it is reported that they will be closing down quietly. The broader Unwell media company is still continuing to grow, but that's what makes this so interesting is that it's not an Alex Cooper problem. It truly is a product and a brand extension problem. First things first, the major thing here is that your audience is not actually automatically your customer. This is probably the biggest lesson that I see here, is that just because Alex Cooper had millions didn't mean that she was going to have millions of customers to start. I saw this product, and I wouldn't really say I'm like a huge Alex Cooper fan by any means. Do I listen every once in a while when she has somebody good on her podcast? Yeah, but I'm not like a massive Alex Cooper fan. But she has millions of people that she touches. They listen to her podcast, they watch her interviews, they follow her, they watch the TV shows that she's developing, and they keep at least a touch on her business in general. Audience and customers are not synonymous, though. This is something I see founders misunderstand all the time, especially influencers, celebrities, and just people that are public figures. My audience loves me, so they'll buy whatever I launch, but it actually has to be a direct implementation of what they actually want. Nobody said, Alex Cooper, I really want a hangover cure from you, because that is going to be the perfect fit for your brand, especially where her brand was at. It might have worked 5 years ago when she was up and coming, and that was really her big shtick, but it wasn't anymore. The brand extension has to make sense. It isn't, can I sell this just to my audience? Does my audience naturally expect this product to exist within my world? When you also have a brand outside of it, it has to be a natural extension. Like for me, if I launched a beverage company, people would be like, that's so weird. You don't have beverages as a part of your brand at all. It is very random for my current community. But if I launched a calendar planner, or I launched a software for business owners, it would be a natural extension to what I've already built. And that will also help me grow and last a little bit longer. Alex Cooper has been known for media, entertainment, relationships, sex, dating, celebrity interviews, pop culture, her personality, podcasting, all of that. And then she launched a wellness beverage. And it just didn't align, especially again for a maturing brand. But if you compare this with her media expansion makes a lot more sense. Call Her Daddy, she built a podcast network, she added creators, then she had a media company, now she's doing TV shows, she's producing, she did the Hannah Montana special, and there's always scrutiny. People don't love Alex Cooper, but it is a much more natural progression for her than it really is having a product. So going more towards the branding and the positioning side, because that's a little bit more for people that have massive followings. So if you have a major following, that's something that you have to take into account. Or if you're building a personal brand alongside of your professional brand, you have to take that brand extension into account. The next side here is that from day one, I didn't understand why she would have called this Unwell. It was a wellness beverage for hangovers that she was calling Unwell. And that just doesn't align for the ultimate outcome of what you have. You know, I get it. It's cheeky. It's kind of self-aware to what she's talking about. It's like current in pop culture, but Unwell Hydration doesn't make somebody that might not be fully connected to Alex Cooper want to sit there and grab this drink. Nobody, whether it's use it just for just hydration or focus or creativity, wants to carry around a beverage that says Unwell, because what is that saying about that person is that they are unwell. Again, Unwell, it was an extension of a media company that was around drinking and pop culture and sex and dating and all of this other stuff. It didn't have a good brand extension and a good brand positioning from day one. It might be clever, but it wasn't strategic at all. The brand essentially is positioned around surviving life's unwell moments. But again, it wasn't going to ever extend beyond her current community. And her community didn't really want a beverage company from her. Not to mention, literally everybody has a beverage company now. If you have to explain why the brand name makes sense for the product, your positioning is already not actually working for you the way that it very well could be. 5 is the product started trying to be too many things too quickly. When they had a bad reception to the hangover cure, because people were like, we don't really want this, then they started to expand into focus and energy and protein. And then they had the drink sticks to add into it. They tried to do too much too quick when the problem was actually a branding and marketing and extension problem. This is just something that so often people think it's a product problem. People think that they need to just add more. People think that they just haven't launched the thing that actually stuck. But for them, they expanded too much too quickly and tried to be too many things that people could see the flailing from the outside. I called this a long time ago. You could see this flailing from the outside, honestly, from day one. You think maybe this next product would unlock growth. I hear this all the time with my clients and people all the time. They're like, hey, I have this really great idea. Do you think this is the thing that's finally going to get us to grow? Rarely is the product of a product launch actually going to be the thing that helps you grow. Oftentimes we need branding, we need marketing, or we need some sort of optimization in order to do that. So if you have more SKUs, you have more functions, which means you have to educate more in your marketing. There's more reasons to buy. It adds more complication to your messaging. And more does not mean more sales. It actually just means more expenses and more marketing that has to be done to get people to really love it. More products do not necessarily create more demand. It actually dilutes the reason that the brand is there altogether. If you're saying you are for hangovers, you kind of got to stick to that until your business is really working, and then we can expand outside of it. If it's okay, I'm going to interrupt this podcast for 30 quick seconds to let you know about the Founders Cafe. It is my completely free podcast community where you can gain access to bonus resources, gain access to me and free coaching calls, as well as build a network of other business owners just like yourself. Business ownership is a lonely game, and we might as well build community, build a network, and have a space to collaborate. We can bring this conversation and all the other conversations we have on this podcast over into this free podcast community and make this a two-way street. I would love to answer your questions there, connect with you, see you on our next free coaching call. Click the link in the show notes and you'll find the link there. The next one is that the beverage category is a brutal category. She launched into an industry that so many influencers and people are trying to launch into. We have so many heavy hitters in the beverage category. You know, Kim Kardashian just did this. I doubt the Kim Kardashian brand is going to live a long time as well. You can't just say I have millions of followers, therefore I should start a beverage company. For whatever reason, many influencers and celebrities think this is a great idea, but you're competing for shelf space, retailer attention, repeat purchases. You know, you're going on a very small margin. It's a low cost product that you can't really build D2C for online or e-com. You have to go retail, which is expensive to start. If you don't sell out, you're actually on the hook to buy that product back from people. And so you're not just competing against other influencer brands, you're also competing against Coca-Cola and Gatorade and Body Armor, big major brands that are spending millions upon millions of dollars to get that out there and already have brand recognition. Why is your brand better than these others? And there's a lot of new hydration and wellness drinks out there. Beverage was just a bad category for her to go into. It's already very saturated, and it just wasn't going to be her first thing. You can still emerge into a saturated category, but you are going to have to work a little bit. What makes you different? You're going to have to utilize this as something that is like your primary. And it was very obviously a secondary business activity for Alex Cooper. And it always is, even Kim Kardashian. It's not her primary focus into actually building a stable business for longevity. Your audience isn't enough to have a beverage company that booms. We see this even Prime Energy right now, which is one of the Pauls. Is it Logan? Whatever his name is. I don't know much about them, I guess. But it's one of the Paul brothers. But that is also coming out right now that they're not doing very well. And they have a very large name. They have built and they have major distribution. But the beverage category, even if you're on Shark Tank, you see this on Shark Tank all the time. People back out from the beverage category immediately because they don't want to be involved in it. That just can't be something that is your secondary. We do have emerging brands all the time. If we look in the last 5 years, Alani, Bloom, Poppy, all of those brands have gotten into it, but that has been their major focus, is being a beverage company. You can't do this as a secondary company. What this tells me is that Alex Cooper thought this was going to be an easy category for her, and she didn't do her research on the actual industry as a whole. The next one is that retail doesn't care how many followers you have to move the product. Again, just because you have followers doesn't mean they are going to go to Target and buy this product. I saw this product a lot at Target. I never stopped and drank one. One, it wasn't in a cooler, so it was never cold and it was never something that I wanted to drink. You know, it wasn't something I was going to grab and drink in the car because it was warm. And so there was different things that you had to think about in this distribution model. And also getting into Target is an incredible accomplishment, but it's stage one. You then have to move that product. If you haven't listened to anything I talk about when it comes to retail, if you don't sell your product in Target, you are on the hook to pay Target for that inventory because they don't want to sit on it. They might pay you 60 to 90 days after getting into Target. But then it is on you to sell that product. And if your product doesn't sell, you have to buy it back from Target. And so you can have this massive launch. That's great. People could have bought it day one, but you have to A, get people to keep buying it, and B, have retailers want to keep stocking it. There are too many brands out there. Retailers aren't dumb that if the data isn't looking good, they don't care about your follower numbers. They don't care about the metrics at all. They are just looking at your data if it is selling. And if it's not, they're going to boot you. And then you are on the hook for your D2C sales. And D2C for beverage doesn't really work with current customer acquisition costs. It's just going to be very hard. This brand eventually has to stand on its own beyond the actual launch in and of itself. There's a difference between borrowed urgency and demand and actually organic long-term demand. And I think Alex Cooper thought that this launch was going to get people to try the product, love the product, and keep using it. But that's not how beverage works. It is really hard to get somebody to buy a beverage over and over and over again. And if you think about it, it was really only in legacy retail. She didn't expand into gas stations and other places that you go to grab a drink like this. How many times have you been hungover in Target? How many times have you been saying, oh my gosh, I need a drink and I'm going to walk into Target for it? And then again, drink a drink that's warm. It just doesn't make sense what her distribution model was. And so what we see here, she had this massive launch. She had a lot of audiences. She probably saw people all over the place that were going out and buying it. And she thought the launch was going to be enough to sustain her, but it never is. It rarely is. You still need to build brand and community and connection around the beverage outside of your actual community. Why Rhode has worked so well is because it's an extension of Hailey Bieber, but it would stand alone without Hailey Bieber. Why Base has worked so well is because it's an extension of Shay Mitchell, but Shay Mitchell doesn't have to be included in it all the time. It stands alone for people that don't even know who Shay Mitchell is to also still buy that product. Yes, that can help you boost your sales, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is your ticket to longevity. Alex Cooper launched a drink and people were curious. They wanted to try it. The press covered it. It was talked about everywhere. And this creates kind of borrowed urgency from the founder's existing relevance, but it didn't actually create a long-lasting brand because, again, it was secondary. It had bad brand positioning. It had bad product market fit. And the distribution channels that they utilized just didn't make sense. On the other side of this, they should have launched worldwide in like a 7-Eleven or like a gas station first. Where do you go when you're hungover and you need something cold and you want an electrolyte beverage? It's not Target. Where is your customer outside of your community? Sure, Alex Cooper probably has a Target community, but that is not where the distribution made sense for this product. You basically had to have it on hand for it to make sense. The biggest lesson here is that you can't confuse attention with demand. I have had clients outside of being a celebrity or an influencer that their business has 100,000 followers and they were not able to make sales. I've had clients that they personally are a public figure and they had hundreds of thousands of followers and they were still not able to make sales. Just because you have numbers, just because you have people, doesn't mean you're building a successful long-term brand. And what you have to do is you have to create something that stands on its own and is a perfect kind of connection to you. You have to build something that it is an extension of you, but you are not the entirety of it. You have to build demand and build a community outside of you where people might say, I don't love Alex Cooper, but I love the Unwell brand and I'm going to support it. It's just same as Hailey Bieber. Hailey Bieber for a long time was very heavily criticized. She's kind of an it girl now. She was very heavily criticized for a long time, but people still bought Rhode because they wanted to try it and because they did a great job of marketing it. And through that, she kind of became an it girl. And so what we have to think about is, what are you building? What identity are you building? What brand world are you building? And what does your community actually have to stand for to be a part of it, to build something that has a little bit more longevity. Attention alone says people are looking, community says that people care, and ongoing demand says that people will consistently come back and buy from you for the specific product. That's what we are trying to build here. I think this was a major miss by Alex Cooper. I think she's gone in a much better direction since then. I think she heeded everybody's warnings that this Unwell Beverage was not going to work. She tried, she expanded, she tried to kind of flail and get through it, or whoever is actually running the company. I haven't even seen her post about Unwell Beverage in a long time. She would have it on her podcast, but again, that's not enough. You need to build more, and she just doesn't really stand for anything anymore. She's trying to mature. She's kind of a journalist at this point that doesn't really take a stance on anything. Now she's starting to talk about nervous system and being a mom, and she's trying to break out from her past kind of party girl phase. And this brand just didn't land. If you're thinking about launching something new because your audience has grown, don't start with what else can I sell them? Don't start with what do I want to create? It has to be what does an audience want? What will consistently create demand? And does it fit the positioning? Does it strengthen the world that you're building? Do you understand the industry that you're entering? If Alex Cooper hired me at the very beginning and she said, hey, Maddie, this is my idea, the first things I would have said to her was, do you feel like this is something that you would want to focus on and that you would want to stand behind for the next 5 to 10 years? Without a doubt. I'm sure her answer to that would be no. Is this positioning something that you really want to be known for? Her answer would probably be no. Do we think that we are going to be able to put the resources into this to build a brand world? Alex Cooper isn't very good at building a brand world. Again, she's not really standing for anything anymore. She is a public figure, but she doesn't really build like a brand that makes people feel something, like a Rhode or a Base or any of those. Summer Fridays is really good at this. Like a lot of the beauty and the wellness categories are really good at building brand worlds. Alex Cooper isn't. My question would have been, do you really want to build a brand world around a hydration drink for people that are hungover? Or just now it seemed like she tried to expand into wellness in general. Is that something that you're really excited about? Do you feel like that this is something that your community is actually asking you for? If the answer to all of those things are no, that is not a good sign. And I've told many people, this product is not a good idea for you. This extension is not good. Let's take it through this angle. Let's take it through that angle. And I think there was a way that this could have worked, but beverage is a really hard category to have as your secondary focus. And this was clearly not her first focus. She had a lot of other stuff going on. You can utilize a lot of these takeaways for you. You have to look at your brand world, at your identity, at where your attention is actually coming from, what you want to think about and talk about all of the time. Your retail distribution is really hard in food and bev. And what can that really look like? I hope that this episode was helpful for you. If you like these case study episodes, absolutely feel free to let me know. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Some are like this. Some are more strategy driven of how you can grow your brand. Some we answer your questions live on the podcast so you can get answers to your most burning questions. Make sure that you subscribe. We would love to have you. I hope this was helpful for you. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Growth Podcast. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. So if you love this one, make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss a conversation. If you want more conversations with me and other business owners, make sure that you join our completely free podcast community, the Founders Cafe. The link is in the show notes. You can get bonus resources, access to free coaching calls, as well as connect with like-minded business owners like yourself. Make sure that you rate and review the podcast 5 stars, share it with a friend to keep those conversations moving, and come back every Tuesday and Friday. I'll see you there.